My name is Kevin, and I'm the host of Stroke of Reality, where we look at questions and thoughts about people's stroke experience, what they're going through. The questions are things that concern them, maybe things that have been great for them, and we can share that with you. Now, normally I'm here with my co-host Jess, who's from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And unfortunately, right now, Jess cannot be here. She is going through a small procedure today as I film this. And so my thoughts and prayers out there with you, Jess, as you go through a follow-up to something she's gone through with her Moya Moya. So when I get her back on the show, we'll talk more about the procedure. But that's going to lead into today's topic, recovery, after recovery, and kind of things that need to be done. Things like follow up with a neurosurgeon, follow up with other people. So one of the things that is Jess is going through her situation, her doctor obviously recommended that she would go through another procedure just so that she, as she has explained to me, will help her not get a secondary stroke. And that is sort of the main, I guess, the main concern of most stroke survivors, their family, is will we get a second stroke? I know I did a podcast, a piece in Germany a couple of years ago there, and they're doing this whole campaign on Noted too. So the whole idea of having that is, something that people need to consider, to look at. People need to talk about with their family, with their doctors about secondary stroke, and then what are you doing about prevention? So prevention is sort of that thing that I think once we get out of rehab, especially outpatient rehab, we tend to forget there are still effects that could happen down the road. So my whole process today is to talk about that. I just talked to a friend of mine, Stacy, who was also a stroke survivor, and she calls the whole process CEO of your body. And when I heard that, it was like so catchy because she's talking about looking after oneself, making sure you take care of your body. Part of the whole process that she went through was that because she was misdiagnosed at the beginning, and from there on in, it started an avalanche of different thought process before they really actually got it right. I met another friend who I bowl with, and he was told he had a stroke, and at the end, he really didn't. So I guess if you're not the CEO of your body, you're the only one who knows what your body's going through. You're the one who knows that how your body feeling, and also what is going on with inside your mind, your body, and everything else related. People might think that you look good, or people might think you look fine, and really there's nothing going on. But unless you're pulling control of your own situation, you're not going to know. So one of the things I want to talk about is once you get out of rehab and you're working with all the physios, have you done a follow up piece with your doctors, like your family doctor, obviously for a while to look at medications or look at your blood pressure and things like that. That's great. But have you gone even further up the chain to like a neurosurgeon? Your neurosurgeon was the person you talked to, especially if you had a surgery during the stroke or after the stroke. Have you talked to a neurologist? Have you talked to your neuro department? Have you had another CT scan done on your head since the first one? Which leads me to tell you that I'm doing that this week. On Saturday, I've asked and went to my family doctor. I talked about I'm starting to get some odd headaches here and there, and I wanted to be sure that with all the support groups I've been part of, I've seen a lot of individuals have secondary stroke, have a lot of concerns about their head, they're getting headaches and all these things. So part of it is, just being cautious on one end, and part of it is just looking at, man, I think I should get more involved in talking to people higher up the food chain. Your family doctor is great, but they can only analyze you or assess you based on a certain part. They're not neurologist, so they won't know exactly what's going on in that head of yours. So I've set up an appointment to go see, to get the CT scan, and then I'm going to ask for a recommendation to go back to Toronto Western Hospital and talk to a neurologist with the CT scan just to make sure everything's okay. Because at the end of it all, as my friend said, Stacy said, you got to be CEO of your body, and I want to take that. So I'm asking people out there, like I have no idea what your situation like. I don't know what you've done since you've gotten out of rehab. I don't know where your mind is at, how you feel. All these things are important issues to preventive secondary stroke. Sure, I've got my blood pressure under control. I've got a lot of things under control. I bumped my head a few times. Part of the reason I think I'm getting the headaches, but does that cause some kind of, blood clot? Does it cause issues moving forward? I'm not sure. And I want to be sure because I think at my age, and I am 65, and at my age, I still want to live another 30 years. But as you get older, the body starts breaking down even more. And added to it a stroke, it's not going to become better. It's supposed to get worse. So things like Alzheimer's and all these that build up down the road are pieces that I want to be concerned about. Am I asking each and every one of you to watch this podcast that are part of this podcast to do the same? I think that's up to you. Again, be the CEO of your body. You should know how you feel. You should realize if you need to, see a specialist. I'd rather have you be on the side of caution than anything else. I think in my scope of things. I haven't done that in the past. I feel good. I felt good. I was fortunate no cognitive was part of my recovery or my stroke in itself. So I want to be sure to my listeners and people watching the podcast, yeah, you need to really reanalyze everything that's going on in your life and see where your body's at. And we talk about in general, people working out and all doing all these things take better care of themselves and their body. But when you have a brain injury like ours, there are a lot of things that add to the process that add to you getting potentially sick again. I'm not here to scare you. The whole idea is to just be cautious of what goes on, be weary of what happens, and make sure that you're on the side of caution where you do see doctors. Your family doctors start, obviously. And you're not going to be able to just walk into a neurosurgeon's office and say, I need an appointment. It doesn't work that way. It's all on recommendation or referrals. So at the same time, that's what I'm saying to you is, see your family doctor. I did that with mine, and I told him what was going on and that I wanted to get a CT. CTs take a long time to book as an appointment. I think it took me 3 months, 4 months. So that's why, go ahead and try to get there. I could have went to a merge, maybe I should have, and had it done right away. But I didn't because I knew I had one coming up. So I kind of went that way because I did see my family doctor just a week ago about the headaches. It lasted for about a week. And I attributed a lot of it because I bumped my head in the basement. I have a low basement and went downstairs and I do it all the time. So I just want to be sure now that there's no ramifications based on hitting my head a few times downstairs. Yeah, mine made me smarter. I don't know all these things, but I know I have soft dents in the head. The doctors felt them, and part of it is just when you hit your head, those kind of things happen. But again, I'm trying to be safe, and as my friend has mentioned, I'm being the CEO of my body. So I'm asking people today through this podcast to take care and be on the side of caution. There's nothing wrong with it. I've talked to many people in my support group, and a lot of them are, when they have some kind of, I guess, we're playing a little smarter with our bodies. When they do feel things are not quite right, especially with everything we've gone through. Right? As I said, people with lived experience are the only ones that realize what we are going through, what we have, and how things have been for us. So as you get stronger physically, I hope mentally the same, but I know that might take a little bit longer because of the injury. Communication might be off, but just keep working, keep working the mind, keep doing the exercises. And if something doesn't feel right, if you're getting headaches all the time, blurred vision, spots, and anything, you're falling asleep too much, maybe getting tired too much. All these things are remnants of stroke, but in excess, it becomes more than just the stroke itself. And what I mean by that is, if someone's falling asleep constantly without really not taking a nap, not wants to take a nap, but it's not during the time that they really would, just in the middle of the day, just fall asleep, then you have to be wondering what's going on. If you are getting headaches occasionally, what is happening? Is it because you're squinting too much on the computer? Is it because you're, watching too much TV? Anything could be the cause of it. But if you feel it's just not you as you went through. And headaches were never one of my issues that I had through my stroke, through my experiences today. It just came up over the last 6 months that headaches started popping up. Now, is it because I bumped my head a number of times in the basement? I'm going to assume it is, but again, I'm not going to take that assumptive and just let it go. I think it's at a point that I felt talking to so many people that I need to be a bit more cautious about my situation. So I am getting, as I said, CT on Saturday. And in our next podcast, I'll let you know how things went and what the doctors have said if the results have come back. I'm hoping Jess will be back on the next podcast in a couple of weeks and can talk about her experience and why, the doctors would recommend that she go back in, and she can be a lot more detailed about the situation. Again, I'm going to hope that Jess is going to want to talk about it. And that might take time because again, it is, as we go through injury and recovery, some things are best left unsaid for a while. So as I said, I'm hoping in the next few podcasts, I can get Jess to open up about her situation and why it was done and what the end results were for her. And again, Jess, my thoughts and prayers with you. And I know it's just procedure, and that's great. And you know, I'll be in touch with you in the next couple of days just to make sure everything's going well. Otherwise, in recovery, as we go through recovery after all the rehab and everything, I keep telling you, your recovery is forever, and it's something people have to get used to. We as human beings, will work out for a while, lose some weight, and then kind of get away from working out. Well, stroke survivors, in order to stay active, to keep the brain running, to keep the brain active, you need to continue to work it out. In terms of doing puzzles, doing games, anything that's going to test your mind to move. I kind of mentioned as I'm putting a book together, and one of the things that I mentioned in one of the chapters is the physical piece of our injuries that we see the most, the disabilities, is not caused by our body breaking down. It's caused by our brain breaking down, not being able to send the communication lines to the body part that needs to work. And by that, I mean the brain tells your hand how to move, brain tells your feet how to move. And without all those things, it kind of gets you away from how, things should be. The whole thing, the process of trying to recover, the brain needs to be rejigged, retrained, because generally with any stroke, the line of communication is broken and you need to find a different route. And I kind of align it in, look at it as when you travel home from point A to point B, let's say you're at work and you're going home by car. If there's a roadblock on the highway or something, you need to find a different route home. Your car is just, you're just not going to be able to go through the route that you want to. So you have to go a different route. Your body's doing the same thing. You're basically trying to reroute the message to tell your hand to move, your feet to move. And by doing that, what happens is it takes a while for the body to retrain itself. If you've broken your leg before or any piece in your body, it takes a while because you got to build up the muscle. You got to build up the communication of telling the body what to do. Most people go through recovery where they're thinking about how to walk, thinking about how to use your arm. But we don't do that in general. That's not how our body works. It's just mind tells the hand to move, hand, so the hand moves. And that, you don't think about it. And that's part of why, for me looking at CT, I don't want to go through, my future where I'm going to have to continue to teach myself or think about walking or moving. I still do occasionally because I have big drop foot, and with that, I drag my foot at times. I have to tell my foot, pick up, move up, step up. Walking upstairs, walking downstairs, I have to be very cautious still. I'm far from perfect, never was, but I'm far from perfect in terms of my recovery. Still working on it, and that's why I say recovery is forever. I've noticed differences, some small, some big, over the course of the last 10, 12 years. And that's what I'm saying to you, going back to the fact that I said, get yourself looked at. You're the one that only knows what your body is going through. Don't be afraid. Make that appointment if you need to. I think in the end of it all, it's, as I said, better be safe than sorry. For caregivers that are listening to this, you'll notice things, and I'm not saying that you should just rush out and make an appointment for your loved one without consulting them. I think you really need to be sure. But some stroke survivors are very stubborn. I get that, and as a caregiver, you put your heart and soul into their recovery. And I think it's important that you make some initiative, because part of the problem we're having is dissecting everything from the information side of things, like pain and things like that. So sometimes we're not totally aware, especially if they've had cognitive injuries. If you had a concussion just in general, there are a lot of things you just have to be worried of. And it kind of runs in that kind of parallel, that you have to be really weary of what is happening. And as a caregiver, again, be on the safe side, talk to your loved ones, see what's going on, and then from there, move forward and try to get things where they're at. So for me, that's the messaging today. Just I miss you, and having the dialogue and having the banter that we generally have. But I know we'll be back doing this again. For those that are listening to this podcast, first time for me doing it solo, so it's been, an honor to talk to you and talk to you about recovery. All the details will be below in terms of just looking at recovery, some of the connections and some of the things. Keep asking us questions, keep asking, keep posting things that, you really want to see and hear. And Jess and I both hope to be able to answer them over the next while in our podcast about how we can help you recover, how we're working on getting things, how we're doing things, what we're going through, and whatever we can do to help assist in your recovery as a family, as an individual. Let us know, because between us, we have roughly about 15, 16 years of stroke experience. I'm coming up to my 12th year, just be coming up just past the third year. So combined, you're going to get someone that's either really experienced, stroke, and I met a lot of individuals through it. And Jess, who's very new, would be maybe like yourself, and still trying to acclimatize and figure out what to do and what needs to be done. Through the recovery, and try to work through all the things. So on behalf of myself, Kevin, and Jess, thank you for listening. We look forward to seeing you on our next podcast. And keep following us on Stroke Reality. And hopefully we'll be able to meet up in the near future at an event, or if I create some events that I'm working on. If you're in the Canadian market, yeah, definitely. If you're in the US, then I'm going to work with Jess, and hopefully we can do some out there as well. Okay. Look forward to talking to you guys again soon. Be safe, be happy, stay strong. And don't forget, recovery is forever. Take care.